Welcome! Today I'm going to be unboxing the Istoyo Epoxy Resin Curing Machine, and then I'm going to be trying it out with some dice that I'm going to make. If you plan on making a lot of dice really quickly, or other resin projects that you want to not wait as long to cure, this essentially decreases that time considerably by using an even amount of heat to accelerate the curing process. So let's go ahead and open it up. While I'm doing that, I would just like to thank Istoyo for sending me this machine to try, and to give a special thanks to you, supporters. Thank you so much for all that you have done to help this channel. Your support is greatly appreciated. And if you too, viewer, would like to support this channel, make sure to check out the links in the description. Every little bit helps. Even if you want to donate once or monthly, that's up to you. I appreciate it either way. Inside the lid is the instruction manual, which is very short. It's a very simple to use machine. It's really just one sheet of paper folded in half, so it's 3-4 pages. It's as easy as turning the machine on and then either choosing the auto or custom modes and then starting the curing process. There are 3 tiers or sections. Each section is just under 4 inches high, and there is a flat board that can be put into each section. The layer board is held by a lip in the section, so it can be put in there with nothing in the middle in the way, so you have the whole area of the entire tray to put your molds. The whole thing is very lightweight. The base has a heating element that shoots air through the center that then circulates evenly up into the tiers. It has some ventilation in the bottom and some little feet that will prevent you from putting it directly onto the power cord. It has a touch panel. They are touch buttons. They're not necessarily buttons that push in, so you don't have to push very hard at all. You just have to touch them to activate the buttons. With the 3 tiers, you can organize them however you want depending on the different sizes of your molds. You could just use one layer if you're just doing one small set of dice or some smaller molds, or you could then expand it higher either with multiple levels, or you can take out the layer boards if you have really tall molds and be able to do really large molds if you have them. I don't have any that big, but you can mix and match it however works for your resin project. I have quite a few molds, so I just kind of play around with the area that is available and put them in there. I have some jumbo D20 molds that are probably the tallest I have. It would be best probably to go 2 layers above one of those. But even just using one layer board, I am able to put most of my molds all on the one layer. I have some mini dice molds that are the smallest I have, and even it will fit. It doesn't fall through the center hole. So just to see if it even works, I'm going to mix up some resin and then put it in a couple of jumbo molds at the lowest and highest points and have them separated to make sure that it heats evenly as well. I will say I have not used a food dehydrator before, but where this is being marketed as a resin curing machine, I did expect the layer boards to be coated in silicone, which they are not, it's just plastic. It's a very strong plastic, it holds the molds that are full of resin just fine, but that would be my one suggestion for the next model, I guess, is to have a coating of silicone on the layer boards for spills and things, especially where you're saying that you should pour it in the molds in the machine, which I actually would rather pour it in a mold on my silicone mats and then put it in the machine. A thin coating of silicone on the bottom of the machine would also be good, just as suggestions. So I put my 2 molds in the machine, and then I also leave a cup of it out to the side to compare later. So the touchscreen is very easy. Hit the power button to turn it on. Auto mode on the left, manual on the right. I'm going to go ahead and do the auto and then hit the power button again, and it will start. It will run for 2 hours. And the way the auto mode works is it will do 30 minutes at 95 degrees. The next 30 minutes, it will go up a couple degrees each minute until it gets to 158 degrees, and then spend the last hour at that 158 degrees before then going into a cool down mode, after which it will shut itself down automatically. The air vents out of the top holes in the lid. It doesn't really seem like there's any air escaping out of the sides or the bottom, so it should do a fairly good job of heating evenly across all of the layers. 2 hours later, after it goes into the cool down mode and then shuts off, we'll go ahead and pull out those molds and see how they compare to the existing resin, which I have here off to the side that is still far from being fully cured. Starting with the top mold from the machine, it feels hard, so it appears to be fully cured just as was intended. Now, as a reminder, this is a curing station that simply uses heat to accelerate the process. That does not mean that you're not going to have bubbles if you don't take the appropriate precautions. I knew this was going to have bubbles, and that's fine. I just wanted to see if it would cure and be hard, which it appears it did just that. The resin is quite warm and still a little malleable, so I would wait at least 12 hours, normally 24 hours, before I do any sanding or any manipulation to this. But it is definitely able to be demolded after the 2 hours in the machine. Sweet, now let's play. So next I put it in the pressure pot for 1 hour before then moving it to the curing machine. This way it should have all of the bubbles gone. I do have a couple of cap molds that are a little bit messy. I don't want them to stick to the plastic layer boards, so I get some silicone slabs that I use when I have extra silicone. I use them to do paint. It's easy to just peel the paint off, but that way I can set it onto a silicone platform and any of the cured resin will come off of that rather than being stuck to the plastic. Just like before, I'm going to do the auto mode. The only thing I'm changing is the fact that it has been in the pressure pot for 1 hour before then curing to see if the bubbles will then not be an issue. So 2 hours later, I pull out my molds and sure enough, just like it should be, clear as glass. The jumbo molds look great. However, the miniature dice that I tried do not. They have bubbles and a lot of little voids in most of them. Even before I open the molds, I can see bubbles that have been created after they were in the pressure pot. I also did a test where I just filled a tiny hole in one of my jumbo dice just to see if I could quickly fill a hole and whether or not it would change color from the original resin by being heated up. And that one, you can see the hole in the middle of the sprue. That tiny bit of resin just bubbled over and just completely ruined this die. There was just a little hole in that one corner that I had filled, but after putting it in the machine, it bubbled up so much that it pushed the cap up a little bit and spread all over the entire face, making it so you couldn't even see or get to the number 1 in it anymore. I had done a colored jumbo at the same time, and it, of course, worked out just fine. I had also at that time tried doing some layers to see if you could do several small layers, and in the layers there were bubbles in the top. So this leads me to believe that if you have smaller molds or smaller portions of resin, you don't want to have them at that high temperature when curing. So I do another batch that I'm going to put at a lower temperature using the manual mode. So I turn the machine on, hit the manual mode. I can see that it starts with 95 degrees and then the time is 5 minutes, so I can go into the temperature, set it up to about 122 is what I'm going to try, and then I'm going to go ahead and increase the time, and I'm going to put that up at about 2.5 hours since it's a slightly lower temperature, just to see how well that does. So I have it set for 2.5 hours, and then if I hit my mode, I can see it's at 122 degrees, 2.5 hours, hit the power button, and there it goes. 2 hours later, and I can tell that it has already leaked a little bit more out of the top than there was before, so this is probably still a little bit too hot. I had tried it once before on some normal sized dice, but unfortunately I did not record that. I took a picture instead of starting a recording. But once I pull these out, they do actually look a lot better than the first ones I had done at the higher temperature. A lot more had bubbled out previously and left bigger voids. These ones don't look too bad, and even a couple of them don't have any voids in them at all. So I would say, at least for my normal size dice molds, they should be cured in the machine for closer to 100 degrees. So, as far as the machine goes, yes, it works and does its job quite well. I would say that you need to do a couple of test runs first to make sure that you get the correct settings that work the best for your resin and your molds. Once you get that dialed in, you'll be able to do your project in much less time. I hope this video has been helpful to you. If you like it, make sure to click that thumbs up and go ahead and subscribe for future videos. If you would like to acquire one of these machines for yourself, the link is in the description. And until next time, go and get a lot done, a lot quicker.